Alright, hey everybody, this is my first vlog, so hopefully I won't take too god-awful long. Pull a Matt Ogus and go 20 minutes for a 5-minute video. But wanted to give a brief introduction of who I am, a little bit of background on my training, and just kind of, talk about some of the things that are going on right now. My name is Patrick, in case you missed it in my SIG. I'm 24. 5'9", 155-ish pounds, depends on the day, as well as what I've eaten. As far as training goes, I started training my sophomore year of my undergrad. I'm actually a master's student right now, working on my master's in biology. My thesis is on the maternal transfer of organic mercury in snakes, and what kind of effects that maternally transferred mercury has on the juvenile snake's stress levels. So, pretty serious stuff. But been training since sophomore year of college. Wasn't really serious about training for several years. I didn't actually start getting serious about my training until I found bodybuilding.com. So since then, it's been kind of a roller coaster of dieting and then bulking and having no idea what I was doing until I found the contest prep section, which led me to sort of further my knowledge and just absolutely fall in love with this sport. I absolutely enjoy lifting. It's one of my favorite pastimes. As a matter of fact, if I had my choice, I'd spend the majority of my life either eating or in the gym. So, great things. I ran several programs as far as lifting goes. I started out, my first program I ever did was Max OT. Some of you may know of it, by Jeff Willett. Great program, especially for starting out. It sticks to the basics, low reps, heavy weights, and basic, power movements. So that was nice. I gained a good bit of mass. Didn't really follow my diet, or didn't have any idea really of a diet for several years. When I first started out, I was doing the Men's Health, some kind of diet. I can't remember what it was. I found it in some book I got at Barnes & Noble. I'm kind of a nerd, so I read a lot, and books seemed like a good idea at the time. But anyway, I put on fat as well as some muscle. I didn't really care at that point because it was bad. But since then, I've ran several different things. I've made my own programs. I've run Lane's Power Hypertrophy Split. And right now I'm running a non-linear periodization where 1 week is a power week. Basically, it's almost like a Max OT week, and then the following week will be some more hypertrophy-based workouts, something similar to you'd see on Lane's PHAT split. So, yeah. As far as my goals go, I'd really like to compete sometime next year. However, I don't know whether or not that's going to be possible. First of all, because I'm slotted to graduate this coming May with my master's. I'm actually kind of coasting at this point. Got a new job that's paying me about 30 grand for the year, and just to do nothing pretty much. So I'm coasting to see that through. And but hopefully, I should be starting a PhD program, not this coming fall, but the next, and that might put a damper on a contest prep. Can it be done? Yes, it can, but it'll make it very difficult. I don't consider myself a very accomplished bodybuilder, if you will. I do consider myself a bodybuilder because I think everybody who actually attempts to change their physique in some way by altering their diet and lifting weights, I find them to be bodybuilders. However, I would like to be competitive, but I don't have a lot of size. I've never been a really big guy as far as stature-wise and muscular-wise goes. I used to be a fat kid, which has led to some serious anxiety problems with putting on body fat and just, self-esteem issues. It's been a rough ride, and went complete opposite, 360, complete 360. And when I got to high school, I actually started swimming and went from a short, chubby, fat kid to a short, scrawny swimmer. I mean, I made 145 pounds and did not change that at all. So, I mean, I didn't go anywhere. I could eat, 10 Big Macs, and I'd never even changed an ounce. So it was crazy. But when I got to college, You know, the freshman, I actually got a freshman 30. Went from 145 to 170 pretty easy. So it got pretty bad. And again, you know, the anxiety and the self-esteem issues were not helped by that. So it's been rough, but I've been getting over it. But I also have low testosterone. Whether that's been caused by my crappy dieting in the past, which could be a case. You know, I've done the whole almost no fat diets. I've done the whole really low calorie diets for long periods of time. I've done ketogenic diets. You name it, I've done it. And that goes back to the whole anxiety issue about the body fat thing. And I don't know whether that's caused it or it could be genetic. I have a family of pituitary adenoma, which is pituitary tumors, and that causes secondary hypogonadism, which is your pituitary doesn't produce enough luteinizing hormone to stimulate the production of an appropriate amount of testosterone. And actually, when I had my blood test done last time, they did a full panel workup and found my luteinizing hormone and my follicle stimulating hormones were low. So that could be a possibility. It could just be a genetic thing where I just, you know, am genetically predispositioned to produce low testosterone. Who knows? But one thing I pride myself in is being able to push through things like that, push through adversity, and I really pride myself in not my physical strength, but my mental strength. I've been taught by my father, by my mother, and by several of my relatives. You know, it's just been something that's been drilled in my brain that the stronger you are of mind, the stronger you are of everything else. So without the mind, nothing can be accomplished. But that makes it hard to put on muscle. It makes it hard to keep a relatively adequate body fat as far as off-season goes. Right now I'm sitting probably close to 13%, if not higher. It kills me to say that because I usually sit around 9 or 10%, you know, visible abs, but I'm putting on a little happy weight, trying to get some size going, as well as maybe try to rehabilitate my hormone levels before I consider hormone replacement therapy. I really don't want to do that. I'd rather stay natural as much as possible. But when you have a testosterone level of 172 nanograms per deciliter or whatever, 172 out of, you know, ridiculous amount. Average for a guy my age is 650 to 700. So, yeah, I'm well below average. But my hope is that by next year I'll have put on what I feel is an adequate amount of size. People can tell me all day that I look great and I look like I'm in shape, but when I compare myself to the people who I know will be competing with me, I know I don't have the mass to be competitive at this point, especially if I want to get as lean as I do, because in natural competitions, leanness wins competitions. Leanness wins, period. Unless you're a freak like Kyoshi Moody, which, no offense to Birdo, but he's a monster. He's just insane. Birdo is got to be one of the most peeled bodybuilders I've ever seen, but Kyoshi Moody just came in huge and full and in good condition. So, I mean, he's just a freak. That's one instance where conditioning doesn't necessarily win. But for my idea, or my perspective of it, is conditioning wins. And I will settle no less for the best, or settle for no less than the best. So, that's just the way I am. But in order to get to that body fat level, I know I'm going to be very small. You know, at 155 pounds right now, 13% body fat, I'm going to be tiny on stage. So I really want to put on some quality mass before I consider entering a contest prep. I also want to get this hormonal thing situated and fixed before anything goes to town that way. So, yeah, enough rambling. But as far as my typical week, I'll kind of give you an overview of what this past week's been like, because it's been a very typical week for past month or so. Right now I have two jobs. My first job involves a research project working on hellbenders, which is a large aquatic salamander, and that requires me to go around to the rivers of Middle Tennessee, where I go to school, and swim through the water and lift large, I mean, we're talking, you know, 900,000 pound rocks, obviously I can't lift it by myself, but lifting those big flat rocks looking for this salamander. And so my non-exercise activity time is ridiculously high. And I burn quite a bit of calories doing that. I'm in cold water, swimming upstream all day, lifting heavy rocks, and I'm still barely eating 2,560 some odd calories and gaining about a half pound a week. So it's pretty sad. But that's my first job. And the second job I have is a National Science Foundation, what's called a GK-12 fellowship. And basically what my job is I'm going to be in a high school acting as a resident scientist for those students to aid them in their research projects. So those two jobs sort of take a lot of my time, which requires me to go to the gym ungodly early in the morning. I'm actually getting ready to go to bed. It's like 8:30 when I eat my last meal, which is going to be some peanut butter and protein powder, and hit the hay. But I got to be up by 3 a.m. so I can eat by 4 to make it to the gym by 5. And I have to be in the gym by 5 and out by 6:15 so I can be ready, or come back and make food, be ready to go in the field. So I don't have a lot of time to train, which means my gym sessions are very short and intense. And so that's a typical day, is really up at 3, gym by 5, field by 7:30, and by the time I get home, it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm just looking forward to my next 3 meals and crashing. I'm exhausted, and a lot of times I actually do 3 days of cardio a week. So 2 of those 3 days are during my actual work week. So 2 of those days that I come home exhausted, I still have to do cardio. Again, that goes back to the mental toughness that I pride myself on. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my life. I also have my own personal research that I have to deal with on top of those 2 jobs and my bodybuilding goals. So I'm a very, very busy person. I find my weekends completely monopolized, if you will, by my personal research. So I don't have a lot of time to myself. I don't have a lot of time for social events or things like that. And some of the posts I've been reading in guys like Billy Beanizzle and Birdo's Log and things like that about balancing bodybuilding and your personal life hit home, because my personal life is non-existent due to my research and my jobs. It really sucks, but I'm kind of one of those people that I don't like to say no. It's bad of me to say that, and it's bad of me to be like that. I mean, it's good to a certain extent, but I run into conflict a lot because I like to please people, and not in the naughty way. Well, I do that too, but yeah, I don't like to have people ask me for something. So say somebody wants me to help them with their research, I'll say yes if I have the time, and that's just the way I am. But I don't really have a social life because of such, and so it's hard to balance bodybuilding with a social life that's non-existent. So yeah, but yeah, other than that, as far as my workouts are going, on this calorie level, it's pretty low, but I'm actually having some pretty decent workouts. I'm exhausted usually all the time, especially in the morning when I go to lift, but I manage somehow to push myself to that next level every time I go work out and go lift, and it's been really nice. My form on some of my lifts is not that great because my back just does not like to cooperate with me. It stays very tight very, very often. I'm not very flexible through my hamstrings, especially after I've lifted with like legs or done cardio, because my legs tend to get extremely sore with very little work. So, for instance, I did a hypertrophy leg workout on Friday, and it's still an effort to go upstairs without absolutely just bowling over in pain. It's almost lactic acid buildup, borderline pain. And but the lifts have been good. I'm still lagging quite a bit in my chest and my arms. They're 2 of my goal points to really work on. I've got decent legs, I've got good calves, my back's okay, I obviously need overall size, but really in the grand scheme, my back or my chest and my arms are lagging the most. And so I've been trying